ExamPrep.School. Wisconsin State-Specific Casualty Insurance Exam, Exam Code 22-8. There are 6 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Federal regulation, licensing, state regulation, Wisconsin statutes, civil rules common to casualty insurance. Wisconsin statutes, rules pertinent to casualty insurance. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under Wisconsin law, a resident applicant for a casualty insurance producer license must complete a minimum number of hours of approved prelicensing education specific to casualty insurance. How many hours are required? A. 15 hours. B. 20 hours. C. 25 hours. D. 30 hours. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is 20 hours. Wisconsin statutes require resident applicants to complete 20 hours of approved casualty insurance prelicensing education before taking the licensing examination. Reason A is not correct. 15 hours understates the statutory education requirement for casualty lines and does not satisfy the prelicensing mandate. Reason C is not correct. 25 hours exceeds the statutory requirement and is not the prescribed education amount for casualty licensing. Reason D is not correct. 30 hours is greater than the mandated education hours and is not specified by Wisconsin law for casualty prelicensing. Question 2. Which of the following documents must a non-resident insurance producer provide to the Wisconsin Office of the Commissioner of Insurance when applying for a reciprocal casualty insurance producer license? A. A certificate of licensure in good standing from the home state. B. Evidence of completion of Wisconsin casualty prelicensing. Education. C. A passing score on the Wisconsin Casualty Insurance Licensing Examination. D. A bachelor's degree in insurance risk management. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is a certificate of licensure in good standing from the home state. Wisconsin grants reciprocal non-resident licenses based on home state licensure and does not require Wisconsin-specific education hours, examination scores, or academic degrees. Reason B is not correct. Wisconsin prelicensing education is only required for resident applicants, not for non-resident applicants under reciprocity. Reason C is not correct. Non-resident producers are exempt from the Wisconsin licensing examination when reciprocity applies. Reason D is not correct. An academic degree is not a statutory requirement for obtaining a non-resident producer license in Wisconsin. Question 3. Midwest Auto Rental offers customers an optional collision damage waiver when renting vehicles. The company collects waiver fees, remits them directly to the insurer, and does not earn any commission. Under Wisconsin law, which best describes the licensing requirement for Midwest Auto Rental's activity? A. A surplus lines license is necessary before offering the waiver. B. A limited lines license for vehicle rental coverage is required. C. A full property and casualty producer license must be held. D. No insurance producer license is required due to the incidental insurance exemption. The correct answer is D. Under Wisconsin statutes, activities incidental to a primary business that generate no separate producer compensation are exempt from licensing. Since Midwest Auto Rental only collects and forwards fees with no commission, it qualifies for the incidental insurance exemption and need not hold any producer license. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because surplus lines licensing pertains to non-admitted carriers, not incidental insurance activities offered by a primary business. Reason B is not correct. This is incorrect because a limited lines license applies only when the entity receives compensation for insurance sales, which is not the case here. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because full producer licensing is not required for incidental activities that do not involve commission. Question 4. How often and on which date do Wisconsin resident insurance producer licenses expire? A. Every 2 years on May 31st of even-numbered years. B. Annually on April 30th of each year. C. Every 2 years on March 1st of even-numbered years. D. Every 2 years on April 1st of odd-numbered years. The correct answer is D. The correct schedule is a biennial renewal with expiration on April 1st of odd-numbered years, as specified by Wisconsin insurance licensing regulations. Reason A is not correct. Expiration on May 31st of even-numbered years is incorrect, because renewals are due by April 1st of odd-numbered years, not May 31st. Reason B is not correct. Annual expiration on April 30th is incorrect, because Wisconsin uses a 2-year cycle, not yearly renewals. Reason C is not correct. Expiration on March 1st of even-numbered years is incorrect, because the actual expiration is April 1st of odd-numbered years. Question 5. A Wisconsin P&C licensee has 16 general CE hours carried over and completed 7 general, 3 ethics, and 1 Wisconsin law hours this cycle. Given that 24 total hours are required, 20 general, 3 ethics, 1 law, and only 12 general hours may be carried forward, which statement is correct? A. Licensee meets CE requirements and is eligible to renew. B. Licensee must complete an additional 1 general CE credit. C. Licensee is eligible by applying all 16 carryover general credits to the 20 general requirement. D. Licensee must retake the Wisconsin law course because only current cycle law credits are valid. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the licensee must complete an additional general CE credit, because only 12 of the 16 carryover general credits can be applied toward the 20 required general hours, resulting in 19 total general hours, 12 carryover plus 7 current. Reason A is not correct. This is incorrect because the licensee has only 19 general credits, 12 carryover plus 7 current, and thus does not meet the 20 general hour requirement. Reason C is not correct. This is incorrect because only up to 12 of the 16 carryover general credits can be applied toward the general credit requirement. Reason D is not correct. This is incorrect because Wisconsin law course credits completed in the current cycle are valid and do not need to be retaken. Question 6. Under Wisconsin insurance statutes, the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance may summarily suspend a producer's license without a prior hearing when continuation of the license would most directly cause which of the following? A. The licensee has been convicted of a felony but remains free on appeal. B. The licensee failed to file a change of business address within the required time frame. C. The licensee misappropriated client premium funds, creating imminent risk of financial harm. D. The licensee did not complete the required continuing education hours by the renewal deadline. The correct answer is C. The Office of the Commissioner of Insurance may summarily suspend a license if immediate continuation poses imminent public harm, such as client fund misappropriation threatening financial interests. Reason A is not correct. A felony conviction may lead to revocation after hearing, but does not by itself justify summary suspension without hearing. Reason B is not correct. Failing to update an address is a regulatory violation, but does not create an imminent threat warranting summary suspension. Reason D is not correct. Missing continuing education deadlines results in administrative penalties and possible hearings, not immediate summary suspension. Question 7. Which of the following misstatements on an insurance application constitutes a material misrepresentation subject to disciplinary action under Wisconsin law? A. Reporting no prior claims when the applicant had a paid liability claim last year. B. Entering an incorrect mailing code due to a typographical error. C. Not indicating an optional endorsement that was never offered to the applicant. D. Listing a slightly higher policy premium discount percentage than available. The correct answer is A. Intentionally reporting no prior claim when one exists is a material misrepresentation that can unfairly influence underwriting decisions and is grounds for discipline. Reason B is not correct. A typographical error in the mailing code is unintentional and non-material, not qualifying as disciplinary misrepresentation. Reason C is not correct. Failing to list a non-offered endorsement is irrelevant to underwriting and is not a willful misrepresentation. Reason D is not correct. Overstating a discount by a small amount may be incorrect, but is unlikely to materially affect acceptance and is not intentional concealment. Question 8. Under Wismore Stat, Section 601.41 inches investigating insurer or producer conduct in Wisconsin, which power does the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance possess? A. Impose a supervisory plan on an insurer to correct unsafe conditions. B. Place an insurer into conservatorship to protect policyholders. C. Levy administrative civil penalties for insurer violations without a hearing. D. Subpoena insurance records and compel witness testimony. The correct answer is D. Under Wisconsin Statute Section 601.41, the Commissioner of Insurance is granted authority to subpoena documents, compel testimony under oath, and examine the accounts, records, and affairs of any insurer or producer during an investigation. Reason A is not correct. The authority to impose a supervisory plan is a remedial action under financial regulation, not an investigatory power. Reason B is not correct. Conservatorship is a post-investigation remedy for insolvency, not an investigatory tool. Reason C is not correct. Administrative penalties require due process and hearing before imposition, rather than being a direct investigative power. Question 9. A Wisconsin licensed insurer receives a statement of charges and a notice of right to hearing from the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance OCI. The insurer timely submits a written request for a hearing within the required period. What is the next procedural step taken in the administrative hearing process? A. The insurer must file pre-hearing briefs with the OCI within 10 days of the request. B. OCI issues a cease and desist order pending the hearing outcome. C. The Office of Administrative Hearings issues a scheduling order specifying the hearing date, time, and location. D. The insurer must submit a witness and exhibit list to the commissioner within 5 days. The correct answer is C. After a timely hearing request, the Office of Administrative Hearings issues a scheduling order to set the date, time, and place of the hearing. Reason A is not correct. Filing pre-hearing briefs occurs later in the process, not immediately after the hearing request. Reason B is not correct. A cease and desist order is unrelated to initiating a contested hearing proceeding. Reason D is not correct. Exhibit and witness lists are due closer to the actual hearing date, following the scheduling order. Question 10. The Commissioner of Insurance discovers a producer using deceptive advertising that misrepresents policy benefits and poses potential consumer harm. Under Wisconsin law, in what circumstance may the Commissioner issue a cease and desist order without first holding a hearing? A. When the producer fails to respond to a notice of non-compliance within 30 days. B. Only after a formal statement of charges and a hearing request deadline have passed without response. C. If the conduct presents an imminent risk of substantial harm to the public. D. When the advertising contains minor clerical errors or typographical mistakes. The correct answer is C. Wisconsin law authorizes issuance of an immediate cease and desist order without hearing when the conduct poses an imminent threat of substantial harm to the public. Reason A is not correct. A failure to respond to noncompliance notices triggers procedural penalties, but not an immediate order without hearing. Reason B is not correct. A formal charge and expired hearing request relate to post-notice actions, not immediate orders. Reason D is not correct. Minor clerical or typographical errors do not justify an emergency cease and desist order. Question 11. Under Wisconsin law, what is the primary objective of solvency regulation enforced by the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance? A. Ensure insurers maintain sufficient capital and surplus to fulfill policyholder obligations. B. Promote market innovation by encouraging insurers to expand product offerings. C. Standardize premium rates across all casualty insurance lines. D. Limit insurer investment activities to low-yield government-backed securities. The correct answer is A. The main purpose of solvency regulation is to require insurers to hold adequate capital and surplus so they can meet their financial obligations to policyholders. Reason B is not correct. Encouraging product expansion is a market conduct goal, but not the primary aim of solvency oversight. Reason C is not correct. Rate standardization relates to rate regulation, not directly to insurer solvency requirements. Reason D is not correct. Investment restrictions may be part of regulation, but not the core objective of solvency oversight. Question 12. Which regulatory action may the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance take when an insurer in Wisconsin fails to meet statutory capital and surplus requirements? A. Issue an order subjecting the insurer to enhanced fiduciary supervision and regular financial reporting. B. Suspend the insurer's authority to write new policies until capital levels are restored. C. Refer the insurer to the National Association of Insurance Commissioners for accreditation evaluation. D. Initiate rehabilitation or liquidation proceedings under Wisconsin insurance statutes. The correct answer is D. When an insurer cannot meet minimum capital and surplus requirements, state law permits the commissioner to commence rehabilitation or liquidation proceedings to protect creditors and policyholders. Reason A is not correct. Enhanced reporting may accompany corrective action but is not the primary statutory remedy for insolvency. Reason B is not correct. Suspending new policy issuance is not the designated enforcement step for capital deficiency under Wisconsin law. Reason C is not correct. Accreditation review by the NAIC is not a state statutory consequence for an insolvent insurer. Question 13. A Wisconsin property casualty insurer has developed a new rating structure that applies higher rates to urban territories with increased claim frequency. The insurer plans to implement these rates on September 1st. Under Wisconsin law, what action must the insurer take before using the new territory rates? A. Obtain a certified actuarial opinion verifying rate adequacy before submitting to the commissioner. B. Submit the rates for informational purposes only and may implement them immediately upon filing. C. File the new rates with the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance at least 30 days before the effective date and obtain approval prior to use. D. File the rates at least 10 business days before use and proceed if the commissioner does not disapprove within that period. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that Wisconsin requires insurers to file new rates with the OCI at least 30 days prior to use and obtain approval before implementation, reflecting the state's prior approval system. Reason A is not correct. Although an actuarial opinion may support a filing, Wisconsin law still requires OCI approval rather than just an opinion. Reason B is not correct. Informational filings do not satisfy Wisconsin's prior approval requirement before use. Reason D is not correct. Wisconsin law specifies a 30-day prior approval period, not a 10 business day window for presumed approval. Question 14. A Wisconsin insurer drafts a new endorsement to add identity theft protection coverage to personal auto policies. Under Wisconsin regulations, when can the insurer begin using this endorsement if the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance does not object? A. Use it immediately but discontinue only if the commissioner disapproves within 60 days. B. Wait to use it until express written approval is received from the commissioner. C. Begin using it immediately upon filing. If no disapproval is issued within 30 days, it is deemed approved. D. Delay use for a 10-day waiting period after filing if there is no objection. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that Wisconsin uses a file and use system for policy forms and endorsements, allowing immediate use upon filing, with OCI approval presumed if no disapproval occurs within 30 days. Reason A is not correct. The statutory disapproval period in Wisconsin is 30 days, not 60 days. Reason B is not correct. Wisconsin law does not require express approval before use under its file and use system. Reason D is not correct. There is no 10-day waiting period. Endorsements may be used immediately upon filing. Question 15. Under Wisconsin law, an insurance producer who collects premium payments must hold those funds in which type of account? A. Custodial escrow account separate from the producer's general funds. B. Trust account held in a fiduciary capacity for the insurer. C. General operating account with detailed premium subledgers. D. Suspense account until insurer approval of the policy. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is the option requiring a trust account held in a fiduciary capacity, because Wisconsin statutes mandate that premium funds be held separate from producer funds in such an account until remittance to the insurer. Reason A is not correct. Holding premiums in a custodial escrow account does not satisfy the requirement for a separate fiduciary trust account mandated for insurer premiums. Reason C is not correct. Commingling premiums in a general operating account, even with subledgers, violates the segregation requirement. Reason D is not correct. A suspense account does not meet the statutory mandate to hold premium funds in a fiduciary trust account. Question 16. A Wisconsin insurance producer receives a $1,200 premium payment from a new commercial client in the form of a company check. Under state regulations, by when must the producer deposit this premium into a trust account? A. No later than the next banking day after receipt of the funds. B. Within 3 business days after the policy effective date. C. Immediately upon issuance of the policy to the insured. D. Within 7 calendar days after receiving the premium. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is no later than the next banking day after receipt, because Wisconsin law requires premium funds to be segregated in a trust account promptly to prevent commingling and ensure proper handling. Reason B is not correct. This option is incorrect because it ties deposit timing to the policy effective date rather than requiring prompt deposit upon receipt of funds. Reason AC is not correct. This option is incorrect because the rule focuses on the timing of depositing received funds, not the issuance of the policy. Reason D is not correct. This option is incorrect because allowing up to 7 calendar days exceeds the regulatory requirement for next banking day deposit. Question 17. An insurance agent in Wisconsin tells a prospective customer that if they purchase a new personal auto liability policy today, they will receive a $50 prepaid gas card upon policy issuance. Under Wisconsin's unfair trade practice rules related to rebating and inducements in casualty insurance sales, which of the following is true? A. Giving a 5% premium discount for timely payment is an allowable credit, not an illegal inducement. B. Providing a company-branded keychain valued at $2 is allowed as a permissible promotional item. C. Offering the $50 prepaid gas card is a prohibited inducement because it exceeds nominal promotional value. D. Advertising potential rebates in a general marketing email without specifying gift details does not constitute an illegal inducement. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is the offer of a $50 prepaid gas card because Wisconsin law prohibits rebating inducements exceeding nominal value, and $50 exceeds the allowable promotional threshold. Reason A is not correct. Offering a premium discount for timely payment is an allowable credit under Wisconsin law, not a rebate inducement. Reason B is not correct. The company branded keychain is valued under the statutory nominal threshold and is permitted as a promotional item. Reason D is not correct. A generic advertisement of rebates without providing a specific gift or item does not constitute an illegal inducement under rebate rules. Question 18. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which of the following best describes the permissible purpose requirement for obtaining a consumer report for underwriting? A. Written authorization from the consumer is required before obtaining any report. B. A reasonable belief that the consumer will use credit to complete a transaction. C. A prior credit transaction completed with the consumer within the past 6 months. D. A legitimate business need related to a credit transaction initiated by the consumer. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that permissible purpose for underwriting requires a legitimate business need connected to a credit transaction initiated by the consumer, as defined in FCRA Section 604. Reason A is not correct. This is wrong because under FCRA Section 604, written consumer authorization is not required for a permissible purpose of credit underwriting. Reason B is not correct. This is wrong because the Act requires the consumer to initiate the transaction rather than merely a belief about future credit use. Reason C is not correct. This is wrong because previous transactions do not establish permissibility. The report must relate to a consumer-initiated credit transaction. Question 19. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, when an insurer takes an adverse action based on information in a consumer report, by when must the insurer provide the required adverse action notice? A. Within 15 days after the date of the adverse action. B. Within 30 days after the date of the adverse action. C. Within 45 days after the date of the adverse action. D. Within 60 days after the date of the adverse action. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that the notice must be provided within 30 days of the adverse action, as required by FCRA Section 615. Reason A is not correct. This is wrong because the Act specifies a longer notice period than 15 days. Reason C is not correct. This is wrong because FCRA does not allow up to 45 days for adverse action notices. Reason D is not correct. This is wrong because the statute sets the deadline at 30 days, not 60 days. Question 20. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, if a consumer reporting agency receives additional relevant information from a consumer after the initial dispute notice, within how many calendar days of the original notice must the agency complete its reinvestigation? A. Within 45 calendar days of receiving the original dispute notice. B. Within 30 calendar days of receiving the original dispute notice. C. Within 60 calendar days of receiving the original dispute notice. D. Within 90 calendar days of receiving the original dispute notice. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because under FCRA Section 611, consumer reporting agencies are permitted a 15-day extension when additional relevant information is provided, resulting in a 45 calendar day reinvestigation period. Reason B is not correct. Ground level timeline ends at 30 days and does not account for the permitted extension when new information is supplied. Reason C is not correct. The allowable reinvestigation period under FCRA cannot exceed the 45-day limit established by the 15-day extension. Reason D is not correct. FCRA does not provide as long as 90 days for reinvestigation. The maximum is 45 calendar days following notice and additional documentation. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.